Alright guys, it is that time again. It is time for a palette rotation. This is palette rotation volume number 4. And I had some beautiful palettes in here. I had a lot of fun using these palettes throughout my personal life. But I really enjoy doing palette rotation. So let's go ahead and get started. This is Ashley. Welcome on back to my channel. As I just mentioned before, we are doing another palette rotation video. But before I get carried away, let me go ahead and introduce myself. If you are new to this channel, welcome. And if you're oldie but goodie, welcome on back. My name is Ashley. I have a doctorate in pharmacy and I love makeup. So that's how you get Dr. Ash and her makeup. So you want to know what a palette rotation is. A palette rotation is an idea that I came up with in order to show you how I rotate my palettes. You know, when I'm going ahead and I'm getting dressed to go to work a lot of times, or I'm just going out and about my business, have other things to do. So I wanted a way to show old palettes and new palettes and just give more look inspo and make you dig down in that collection and make you be like, oh yeah, I have this palette, I need to use it. And so the video is pretty informal. I'm just doing my looks. It's going to be set to some music, and sometimes I'm facing this way from my vanity and I'm just getting ready going to work, or sometimes I'm facing this way, and that is basically what it is. It's just a way to show you how I'm rotating through my collection. I'm trying not to forget stuff, even though I feel like stuff is forgotten because I just have a lot of eyeshadow palettes, to be honest. But I just really love this. So let me go through the palettes that I have in this video very quickly. We're going to jump into some looks and we'll wrap up at the end. I don't want to hold you too long. Now, I do have a look with this particular palette, the look I'm wearing right now. And this is the Bunnies palette by Unearthly Cosmetics. Mine says Alien Cosmetics, which was their older name. And I've never had a chance to use this palette. So I was like, you know what? We need to use it. So I'm going to throw it in this palette rotation. It's a beautiful, colorful look. Springtime vibes. Ain't no spring over here in Chicago. It's snow flurries and it's March 31st, okay? But I just wanted to go ahead and give a chance to this palette because I was like, you know what? It's really pretty and it's just been sitting in my collection. I haven't had a chance to use it. I also pulled out my Naughty Nudes by Huda Beauty. Really lovely color story, very rosy. I feel like a lot of times this is a great neutral palette for me because look at those tones. They're just beautiful. In addition to, we have a new palette that's on the scene. It's newish, but you know, in our makeup world, it ain't that new anymore. And it's the Angie times Oden Eye, and this is the Hela palette. It is a green color story with some pops of murky kind of plums and pinks and duochrome goodness. So I wanted to do another look with this and continue playing with this palette, you know? And I pulled out one of my favorites, which is Adept Cosmetics Amunet New. This is what she looks like. This is the darker version. And then we also have Mama Pat, of course, because I'm always rotating her through my collection. And we have La Vie and Rose. So let's go ahead. Let's get started with these looks. I will list the palettes that I use down below. Really, I don't wear lipstick a lot of the times because I'm still wearing a mask. I'm a little traumatized, y'all. They dropped the mask requirements in my city, which is Chicago. But I got Omicron at like 2 days after Christmas. Literally, I got sick 2 days after Christmas. And y'all know I wasn't better until like around January 17th. That's when I went back to work. I was down for like 3 weeks. And I'm vaccinated and boosted. I was very sick, so I'm still wearing a mask. So you really won't see any lipstick in these videos except for now. But let's go ahead and get started. is the last look with the palette rotation. I love this look. I decided to give a little bit more, get some lashes and everything. This is our final look. Not to mention, I've never had a chance to use this palette. So this is one of the rare palettes that's kind of like hanging around in my collection that I have never used. It's not many, y'all. So it's just this one and maybe about 2, 3 others. Well, really, okay, the Feral palette by Menagerie, but I'm going to dip into that because I'm interested in a new Sugar Glider palette, and then also the Leather Black Love, but I just got that by Siegel. Anyway, but this is the Bunnies palette. This is by Alien, but they're actually Unearthly Cosmetics now, so I had this a while. I did swatches and everything. I was so excited about the color story. I thought it was really, really pretty, and you know, I'm an eyeshadow lover, so it was a lot of eyeshadow coming through, and I just never got a chance to, you know, do anything with this palette. But I think that this palette is really gorgeous. You have some really pretty dual chromes in here, which is basically what I kind of used today with the shade Clear Skies and Golden Egg. Clear Skies has like a subtle purple shift to it, so I like it. It's a little bit different than, I just feel the need to just do that. It has a little bit less of a purple shift than some of the duochromes in that particular color story. And then the shade Golden Egg is really pretty as well. Has a very slight, subtle green shift. Not the type of green shift that the shade Smith has in the Heather Austin palette, which I just did a video on. But these two shades are very, very pretty. As you can see, they have a lot of shine, a lot of slip to them. So I find that works best for shades like this. They have a lot of slip to them, just really smooth, silky texture. I find that a Rephr 02 brush works the best because it is gritty. It is able to just kind of pick up that shade, pick up the multi-chromes, and apply them very well. Didn't need a glitter glue, but I think a glitter glue will just kind of like take it to the next level. The mattes were nice that I used. I like the little purple and blue situation. Just wanted to do a little bit more fun look, especially since I hadn't used the palette before. And then I'm going to kind of briefly touch on my face details. I'm like, y'all are doing a lot in the common spaces in my building. I'm like, whoo, scared me. If I looked frightened, that's why, because I'm like, okay, what are y'all throwing around? Anywho, very excited to have back in my collection the Pat McGrath foundation. Okay, so I was holding off buying this until I kind of finished at least maybe this foundation, but I'm still working on this, and I don't want to rush through something just to be rushing through it. But you know, Pat was having that glitch sale. I really think that that was just for her team, like her employees, her makeup artists, because it said Pat Teen Love or something. That was the code. But honey, I got this. It was already on sale. Then the 50% off, it was like $25. You can't beat that with a stick. And I picked up like 3 lipsticks because, you know, I already got enough. I got all the motherships, okay? But if you didn't and you got motherships that day, you came up on a lick, okay? So I feel like I came up on the lick when it came to this. So I'm just glad she honored it. And then for my lip, I went in with the Fenty Beauty. This is the shade Underrated. It was a Christmas set. It was a little mini Stunna paint. I thought it tied in with the look. Great. So let's talk about the palettes that I did use. I used the Hela palette. I still really like this palette. I thought that the look was beautiful. Yes, it was probably a little extra. I was just going to work, but you know, who cares? And for me, it's just like, you know, the bottom row. Even though it's so heavy green, I feel like this palette just has a lot of versatility. So I really enjoyed playing with these shades, and I'm still enjoying this palette. And this is a newer palette, and I like kind of throwing in newer palettes into the palette rotation, just so you can see me do additional looks with them, you know, as well with the older palettes. And then I pulled out a super oldie but goodie, and that would be the La Vie en Rose. And I just love this palette. She really needs to come back with this palette. Come on, Pat, bring it back. But the shades are still just as creamy as before. I got this palette when it first came out. I do think that, but in my defense, I always think that Paranormal was probably always a little bit of a drier formulation anyway. That's Paranormal. At the time, this was like one of the first plum mattes we ever had. So it was just like, you know, this color story was as bold as it got back then, you know, and this gold shade in here is one of my favorite golds. I would say that particular day, that look probably came out a little bit more plummy and pinky than I anticipated doing, but that was just my pairings that I did with it. But overall, I still really like this palette. It still performs really nicely. Even the shade Purple Rain, which is the shade in the middle. Purple Rain is actually described as a matte on her website, but it's a matte with it definitely has a sheen to it, but it packs a punch. And I think by having that sheen to it, it really helps blend out. It has a kind of a creamier consistency because purples that deep, that royal purple, they're really hard to formulate, you know, but really nice. Then I also went in with one of my favorite palettes in my collection. I just love this palette. It's a good standard neutral palette on my complexion, which is the Huda Beauty Naughty Nudes. And I still love this palette still so much to this day. Of course, I love the shade Passion, and that was the shade I used in that look, and it has that nice rosy with the pop of blue duochrome. It's really nice. It's subtle. It just kind of gives a nice little shift, and the mattes are really great in this palette. What I enjoy most is like the mattes actually pull as deep as you need them so you get some depth to your look, and the palette still performs very well. At this point, this palette came out in 2020. Did it? Yeah, 2020. So I really enjoy this, and I still love pulling it out from time to time. It's a great neutral palette, especially if your skin complexion or deeper. It's beautiful. And oh my gosh, this palette is one of my favorites. I had more time that day that I got ready. I was going to the doctor. Let's see, and I might have thrown on, come to think of it, I threw this sweatshirt on because I was cold, but I think that I had the whole sweatshirt outfit on that day. I have a selfie. I don't really like it. I might throw it in there so you can see what the whole little sweatsuit situation looks like. Kind of thing. I was like, ooh, I had on this sweatshirt. Yes, I knew I wore the outfit that day, but I'm not sure if I had it on in the video, but it is what it is, whatever. A couple weeks later, it's fine. So this is the Amunet New Palette in dark, okay? It's the dark because it has this middle shade of Seth, and it's a deep blue shade, but I absolutely love this palette. This is one of my very favorite Adept palettes. Now that Heather Austin palette is out, and I'm like, ooh, I don't know which one. And I love Nyqvist and I love Oden. So, but it's just something about this palette that gets me because it's just so different from everything. The mattes just make it pop in different ways. I love this gray matte, the deep blue, the purple. I've talked about this palette so many times, but I wanted to go ahead and use something a little bit different, which was the orange shade, because I always tend to stick to this particular shade. As you see, I have a nice little healthy dent in it. I always use this shade and usually this little, I like the other shades, but I'm always so drawn to this shade right here. So I had a lot of fun playing with the palette rotations in this particular video. I know the last video I kind of had a dud, which was the sci-fi green, which is disappointing, but when you can kind of just rotate through your palettes and just have such a good time with it, it's everything. So I hope you guys like this palette rotation volume. I had a lot of fun. It was nice playing with a palette that I've never used before because, I mean, what am I doing with myself here? So I love this look, and leave me a comment down below how you guys like the looks and everything. Any comments you have about the palettes, give this video a big old thumbs up. Hit the notification bell so you know when I come out with another video, which will be very soon. And please subscribe to my channel because you know I would love to have you here in my little makeup family. And with that being said, you already know how we got to end the videos around here. We got to hit it with the chair dance. Hey, chair dance. Hey, 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 chair dance. Chair dance. Chair dance. Hey, chair dance. All right, y'all. Bye.